Aren't you tired of giving back profits to the market? You need a trading process that provides you with a leading market condition analysis so you can recognize the tops and the bottoms in your portfolio. TechniTrader has been helping traders achieve their profit targets for more than 24 years with a complete trading methodology that you won't find anywhere else. Check out the new online trading courses at technitrader.courses.
Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about trading strategies. What is the best trading strategy for you? There are all kinds of strategies out there. Everywhere you go, there's this earning strategy or dividend strategy or all kinds of different indicator strategies. And everyone's telling you that this is the best ever and this is the one that's going to make you a millionaire overnight. Strategies have a place in trading, but they are not everything you need to know to be consistently successful. You need to have everything that you need to know about the stock market to be truly successful at it. I'm going to give you an example, a little analogy, a story today to help you understand where strategies are in the realm of trading stocks or options for high profits and monthly income, or as a profession, trading it as a business. A lot of you want to make $10 or $15 or more $1,000 a month, and this is possible, but not with just a trading strategy on MACD or a trading strategy on Bollinger Band compressions and this sort of thing. So I'll explain to you in this little scenario so that you better understand what a trading strategy actually is in relation to what you need to know. So let's say that you want to go to this country and you've heard that it's exotic and it's beautiful and it's warm and sunny and it has beautiful beaches and the temperate weather is just awesome. The food is great. The people are friendly and you really want to go to this country. So you decide that you probably should learn the language so that you can get around and have a lot of fun and be able to talk to the natives and also be able to get what you need while you're there. So you go online and you look at all the different ways that you could learn this language. And there's one that catches your attention because it says the best strategy for learning a foreign language in 5 days. So you click on it and it shows you that it has audio tapes and other things, or you can go to a class and they'll teach you these basics, this strategy for getting around in the country and learning a whole language in 5 days. And you're so excited because, wow, that's so cool. In 5 days, I can speak a foreign language. I'm just going to go and do this. So you run to the seminar or you start the online audio tapes or whatever. And they have a great strategy. They have 10 different phrases that you can learn and a few other sentences that you need to have that will help you get around. And that's all you need to know about that language. That's everything you need to know to be completely successful in that country. And you're just so excited you can hardly stand it. So you go to the class and you take the course and you learn all the 10, 15 different sentences like, where is this restaurant? Where is the restroom? How do I call a taxi? Where do I find the hotel? All the basic things that you would need to have to be successful navigating around in a foreign country and have enough language skills that you could be really successful talking to the locals. And you're all excited. They even cover a little bit about currencies and so on. So you're just all set, 5 days, and you're ready to go. And off you go to your vacation and you get there and you get off the plane and instantly you run into some problems. You ask for a taxi and a beat up old car shows up. And you go, well, is this a taxi? And the driver goes, yes, taxi. And you get in, and 3 hours later, you're still not at your hotel. He's driving around doing deliveries out of the back of his trunk, and you suddenly realize that you're in the car of a dope dealer. True story. Does happen. You didn't ask for the right taxi. So finally you get at your hotel, and you're so exhausted, all you want to do is lay down. So you go upstairs and you get unpacked and you lay down, you rest a little bit. And then you decide that maybe it'd be fun to go and travel around and get a cup of coffee and see the sights. So you go down and you put up your index finger and you order one coffee. And you're very proud of your language skills because the waiter nods and runs off. And he brings you back 2 cups of coffee. And you look at him and you go, I didn't order 2 cups. and he looks at you and he holds up his index finger with the thumb pointing out the side, and you nod, and he points his hand at the coffees. Because in that country, the index finger and the thumb is 1, the index finger is 2. But you weren't taught that local little signal that was different than the United States. In the United States and a lot of countries, the index finger means 1, but in some countries, the thumb means 1. So you didn't know that. You didn't hear about it. So now you have 2 cups of coffee to consume. You go to the local restroom and you go in and you go to wash your hands, and there's a person standing there with towels. And you look at them and you grab a towel and they get very insulted. And they start jabbering and you can't understand what they're saying. They're speaking super rapidly. You have no idea what they're talking about. You get really mad. You throw the towel down and stomp out. The person comes after you running and screaming and calls the police. Police come over and stop you and you say, "What's going on?" And they said, "You didn't pay for the towel." You go, "I don't have to pay for the towel. Why would I pay for the towel? Towels have to be free." And he says, "Not in this country." Fortunately, the policeman knows English, because otherwise that conversation would land you in jail. In that country, you pay for the towels to wash and dry your hands. So you go off sulking and you go over to drink out of the fountain. And again, there's someone standing there expecting to be paid for the water. Now, none of this has been taught to you in your 5-day language that could teach you everything you need to know to be successful and have a good time in that country. So since you don't pay for the water, this time the policeman arrests you and you go off to the station and you have to fill out a bunch of forms. So finally you pay the fees and penalties and you can get out. Then you're sitting there very upset, frustrated, because it's not very much fun. The people around you are talking. You try to get back to your hotel. You don't know where it is. They look at you because they don't understand you, because they have a certain accent and a certain set of colloquial terms that you never learned. So you walk yourself back and finally find your hotel, and you're very frustrated. And you take off your shoes and you go over and there's this pool and you put your feet in the pool. Now you're really in trouble, because that pool is for drinking only. It's not for putting your feet in. So then you're hauled off to the police station again and you find another amount of money because you did something wrong that you didn't know that you had done wrong. The whole trip goes like this because you only know 10 or 15 phrases that are minimal, and that's the strategy you learn to get and navigate around this country. You don't know the colloquial terms. You don't know the traditions. You don't know what is allowed and not allowed. You don't know whether you should eat everything with your fork or if you can pick it up and not have people be disgusted. Different countries have different traditions, different ways of doing things. Not everything is like the United States. So when you go to a foreign country, it's not enough just to learn a few sentences to get you around. You also have to understand the people and how they live and what they do and what is an insult and what is not an insult. And you will be fined or charged or put in jail if you disobey some of these things. You also may cross the border and not even realize it. Now you're in a totally different country and you didn't even know it. Your strategy of learning 10 or 15 phrases to get you around that country failed because it didn't teach you everything you needed to know to get around that country and be successful as a tourist. This is what most strategies for trading stocks or options do. They give you a little bit of information that makes it seem really easy and that you can just go out there and start trading and you will be successful. And then maybe you are successful for a little while, or maybe right off the bat you start losing money and you get so frustrated because this is supposed to work. You may go back to the company that you bought the service from or the website that you watched the trading system or strategy on and try to relearn it, but that's not the problem. The stock market is a whole nother world. It has an entire language. It has a set of rules. It has regulations and requirements. It has things that you need to know that you don't know. Plus, there are 9 different major market participant groups. Each group has their own set of rules and regulations, their own set of strategies, their own set of trading systems that they use, the lot size they use, the order types they use, the routing they use, whether they're on the exchanges or trading through an alternative trading system like dark pools. They all have different things. They have different capital bases and everything else, and you need to understand this. You need to understand the world in which you're going to be working and making money. Most retail traders are like the tourist who has minimal information and can't get around and makes all kinds of mistakes accidentally because they didn't know what they needed to know to be successful. So your trading strategies are the last thing you need to learn. What you need to learn is the world of the stock market. And sure, there are lots of internet sites that claim they can tell you everything you need to know, but it's not in a format that's easy to learn. And it could take you years. I have spoken to traders who've been trying to become successful in the stock market for 10 or 20 years. They have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of their time. They've lost a huge amount of their capital base, and they finally come to me and say, "Why didn't I take your course in the first place? Because if I'd done that, I could have been successful all these years." But they wanted to do it themselves. They thought that if they could just figure it out and they wouldn't have to spend any money. It takes money to make money. You don't need to spend $10 or $20 or $50,000 to get a good education. I know there's companies out there that are promoting that you should mortgage your home and get $50,000 or $100,000 and then they'll teach you to be successful. And of course, then you're not. And then you've wasted all that money and you have a second mortgage. Don't be ridiculous. You can get a good education, but you're going to have to spend a little bit of money. And you're going to invest your time and know that you can't do it in 5 days. The professional side doesn't have any respect for the retail side because the retail side of the market, you and other investors and traders, think that you can learn this stuff in a couple of days. And they spend years studying. They take their time. They start out as junior traders and then advance and eventually become senior traders. Now, we have taken all of the knowledge that we have as professionals and put it into a course, and you can take it at your own pace. If you go to a weekend seminar and somebody's talking to you, the amount of information that you're going to retain is less than 20%. The best way is to have something that you can refer to over time, and you need a lot of support. You're going to need someone who can help and guide you through this. But at the same time, you don't want someone who's going to be taking money from you all the time and giving you stock recommendations, because those stock recommendations are for one purpose. They're not to make you wealthy. They're to make the gurus and the recommendation services money. Because as more and more people buy what they're told to buy, the stock rises to a certain point and then it crashes. So the people who are making all the money on the recommendations are the companies who recommend them. And you should know this. The worst thing you can do in the market is follow the crowd. Every professional has their own unique trading system, their trading process. We call it a trading process because it takes you step by step with a checklist approach to what you need to do first, second, third, fourth, and so on. That way you never miss something that you should be doing. You do it in a systematic format. It's done as a procedure and a process, and this generates consistency in your trading and your evaluation of what stocks to trade. Plus, it teaches you how to find your own stocks so you don't need a recommendation service, and you won't be trading with the crowd. You won't be trading with the systems, so you won't get whacked by the HFTs who look out for those cluster orders that retail trading systems create, and then they gap the stock and then sell into the gap. You need to be very cautious about what you choose as far as your education, but be aware that a strategy is just a few tiny things that you need to know. It's not enough to be consistently successful or to have trading as a business. A lot of you want to trade as a business, and that is something that you can do. It is something that is good if you need to stay at home or work from home, or if you have time only in the evenings or on weekends. There are also ways to make a living from the market that way too. A lot of people in retirement have discovered that they don't make enough off of their retirement or their 401k, so they need to augment it. And this is another way that you can do it with short-term trading that is safe. I'm not talking about day trading. Day trading is very risky because of the illiquidity of the financial markets today. Because of the penny spreads that are there, it's very hard to make a profit day trading. And I know a lot of companies still promote day trading, and they're teaching you strategies of day trading that were developed in the 1990s that were for a very different market. We didn't have the dark pools. We didn't have the HFTs. Everybody traded on the exchanges, and there was a lot of liquidity. Now, The exchanges account for about 35% of all the total volume of activity. So when you're looking at your real-time charts, you're only looking at about 35% of what's going on that day. The rest is totally off the exchanges and hidden from you. So you don't know what's going on in those other venues. Yes, they still have to have the national best bid offer, but your strategies may fail because someone on the outside is doing something that's changing price or altering things before you can get your order in. The first thing you need to do is determine what trading style you want to use. Do you have the tolerance for swing trading where you are in and out of the stock within a few days? A lot of traders want to swing trade or momentum trade. This requires a very level head, a fairly good-sized capital base. It requires quite a bit of paper trading and simulator trading, and it requires higher risk tolerance. Now, what we offer for people who want to trade part-time is what's called position trading, taking a position in the stock and holding that stock from anywhere from a week to several weeks to a couple of months. This type of trading is very, very lucrative. It actually earns more money annually than swing trading because you're holding the stock longer. It's ideal for bottoming stocks. It's ideal for platforming stocks or moderately trending stocks. For swing trading, it's a lot of fun, and if you have the risk tolerance and the capital base, then you can be doing that. And it's a faster pace. You have to have more patience, and you have to have more skill, but you can do that. But you will not earn as much as your position trader will. Your friend who's a position trader will earn more and have less risk and lower capital requirements. So you have to decide what trading style you want. Day trading, some of you want to day trade, and it can be done, but it is much higher risk, and you can only trade highly liquid stocks, and even the big blue chip stocks are illiquid during the day. So there's only a couple of minutes in the morning and a couple of minutes in the end of the day that you can actually trade. So that kind of divides your day up. Plus you need 3 times the amount of capital that you need for swing trading. And a lot of brokers will require that you have an education, will require that you have experience and be able to prove that you can handle it, and they may restrict your margin or expect you to have some capital reserve on hand because they don't want to have you go into a day trade, lose a ton of money, and then you have a short in your account and they have to do a margin call. So there are a lot more restrictions on day trading nowadays, and you have to be careful with that. There's also intermediate term trading for those of you who don't want to do long term, but don't have a lot of time to spend maybe once a month that you can check your stocks, but you want to do it short term for income. Then you have long-term investing, where you hold it for 3 to 8 years. You can't really hold a stock for 20 or 40 years because you won't make as much money as if you hold it for the life cycle of the business. All businesses cycle, and the business cycles are shorter than they were 50 years ago when that was first proposed, that you should buy a stock and hold it forever. You shouldn't buy a stock and hold it forever. You should buy a stock as it's an aggressive growth, growing like Apple did between 2003 and 2018. If you had that, you'd have made so much money that you wouldn't need to do anything. You could just retire and go to Tahiti. That one stock. There are all kinds of stocks that you can invest in, trade, and make a lot of money, but you have to have an education that gives you everything you need to know. You don't want to be like the tourist who only learns a couple of strategies, a few phrases, and thinks that they can go to the foreign country and have a great time. Because what will happen is you'll start doing that strategy and you're going to have problems. You're going to make mistakes, and you're not going to understand what's going on around you. To be really successful at anything you do in life, you really have to have an education, a foundation of what you're going to do. You can't be a programmer unless you go to school and learn all the programming languages. You can't be an engineer and build bridges and roads and buildings without an engineering degree. Nowadays, you need an education in just about everything you do. We send almost all of our children who graduate from high school to college nowadays. Parents spend an enormous amount of money giving their kids college educations. But the same parents want to go online, go to Investopedia or someplace, and think that they can figure it out by themselves. This makes no sense at all. If your child, your teen, needs an education to have their career, don't you need an education for your trading business career? Yes, you do. Now, there are many things about what you've already experienced in your life that can contribute and help your trading business. You have experience. You've been working for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, 40 years, whatever. And that experience also comes into play. If you were an entrepreneur, if you owned your own business, that's even better, because the stock market is the business of businesses. If you understand business, if you understand business cycles, if you understand cycles of stocks and technical analysis and fundamental analysis, you can make a lot of money in the stock market. People do all day long. The difference between those who are successful and those who fail is the education they choose or do not choose to learn. You can't learn it in a few days. You can't learn it by somebody talking to you and pointing at things. You need a foundation of education, and our training has stood the test of time, teaching retail traders, technical traders, and professionals. I've had a lot of stockbrokers who, after retirement, took our course and they loved it. So professionals love our course and think it's extremely useful and worthwhile and more than worth its money, and you can make the cost of the course back very quickly. Why don't you come and take our course? You can spend years laboring through trying to figure it out yourself, or in a few months you can have it all figured out and be trading and be successful and be very happy with what you're doing. I'm Martha Stokes, and that's our radio show for this week.
There's so much emotionally charged hype out there designed to sell newspapers and advertising rather than inform investors and traders. Want entertainment? Buy a newspaper or magazine or turn on the news. Want investment and trading concepts explained? Look to TechniTrader. TechniTrader is the gold standard in trading and investing education taught by experienced and accredited professionals. Don't learn to trade from fad-chasing day traders, and certainly don't think you can grow your portfolio by attending a weekend seminar or watching a free video online. Success in the financial markets is attainable, but like any high-paying profession, it requires the proper education to achieve consistent success. Join those happy few who've taken their investing and trading seriously. Call 888-846-5577 or visit technitrader.com.